So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be talking about something that I haven't seen in the mainstream media at all. I saw it on some anti-union sources on LinkedIn a couple days ago, and really it's been running under the radar. And it's a little frustrating because this is a big deal. So another pension bailout from the Biden administration. These pension bailouts, there was one that happened back in December or so, December 2022, and it's because the union was not appropriately funding these pensions, and as a result, the people were not going to get paid going forward. And we'll talk about why that's a problem. We'll talk about the basic status of this current one, and then we'll talk about what this means for the taxpayer and what this means going forward, because that's really ultimately where this matters and what this boils down to. So on January 6th, President Biden gave a speech on the American Rescue Plan Special Financial Assistance Program. And this is from his website, linked down below if you want to take a look. I say his website, the whitehouse.gov website. If you want to read the entire rambling speech, it's kind of a lot, and it's not very, it's a lot. But I'm highlighting here $90 billion. This was $90 billion, okay, but it's small in comparison to the bailouts of businesses and major corporations and banks, which he also authorized. I actually am completely fine with not bailing out major businesses, corporations, banks, etc. But this is going to become a problem. It's going to become a bigger problem than you can think. So we'll talk about that down the road. But he says, "quote Folks, I'm here today to talk about the issue that affects every single American and their retirement. People around the country wake up every day wondering whether they've saved enough to provide for themselves and their families before they stop working." End quote. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, they absolutely do. And these pensions are underfunded across the board. However, what's a little bit frustrating, and what I want to highlight is the political connection between the unions and the Democrat Party. Magically, the United States posted a $39 billion January deficit. Shortly thereafter, a pension fund bailout of, I believe, $36 billion. So it's pretty six, yeah, $35.8 billion to save the Central States Pension Fund, which was a union pension fund that was underfunded, and this resulted in the largest rescue ever. This is a private union. This is a pension fund that was supposed to be funded by the union and was not. Quite often, the union made promises that could not be kept with respect to pension funds, and as a result, they underdelivered. And frankly, many of these unions expected increasing employees to cover the pension funds, but as the population ages, as fewer and fewer join unions, you're seeing these pension funds be severely underfunded. And what's scary is that the pension shortfall is crazy. $500 billion is the current pension shortfall that that employers are not able to mention at this time. And when we say multi-employer, they are technically multi-employer. This data is from the Heritage Organization. It is a conservative organization. Let's be clear here. When we say employers, I'd have to imagine that most of them are government employers, and so they're going to get the bailout anyway. Pensions are predominantly a government thing, although there are obviously private employers and unions that do have pensions. But you see here that it's frankly mostly government employees. And as a result, this chart here shows that 96% of workers' union pension funds are less than 60% funded. And so that's a massive number. Less than 0.12% are 100% funded. And again, as unions decrease in percentages and in power, these become bigger and greater. And this becomes a bigger and greater problem that will inevitably require bailouts from the government in order to fund. I don't have a particular problem. Again, bailouts in and of themselves have become a frustrating normal. I disagree with the corporate bailouts, and I think that was a terrible decision that was made. I also am frustrated with Silverbank and so forth. However, The problem I have ultimately is that is that these also have a direct funding line to the Democratic Party. So there's a clear conflict of interest, right? So, for example, the Carpenters and Joiners Union contributed $37 million to the Democratic Party, or liberal groups in general. You can see here the top contributors: 23 million from the National Education Association. What I found interesting, and I didn't, I'm not aware of it. I'm curious what the specifics. If you can see on the chart, the red indicates conservative or Republican PACs. The red conservative, or the red indicates that. And the United Food and Commercial Workers Union having a sizable portion that contributes to the Republican Party. I'm curious what that portion is. I know that I don't know exactly what that means. I'm guessing that it's probably a reflection of protecting agricultural land or something of that nature in states that are, more agriculturally focused, and that's why you see that as opposed to the other ones that have no agricultural focus. Don't know. I really don't. I'd love to dig into that sometime. I also am curious about the Air Pilots Association and how that has any funding or funding to the Republican Party or any conservative causes. I don't know that one either. But you can see here that there's a obvious conflict of interest, and I want to be clear: there's the conflict of interest that exists when when the parties bail out the banks as well, right? That is a similar conflict of interest that I disagree with, and should be noted that it is unacceptable. Let me know what you think. I'm really disappointed that this $90 billion bailout really hasn't received any coverage. I couldn't find. I found something on I think it was Senator Allen's page, and that's about it. I think Fox Business News covered it, but otherwise I see very little mention of this in the news. But 90 billion is a significant fund to effectively funnel from the U.S. coffers into a pension fund and save the bacon of a union that was created to serve its people. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.